Hey, just Mark here. So I've been thinking a lot lately about how we grow, how we define growth, and how we accept it. Too often we sit around waiting for life to happen to us. We wait for like a dramatic event or some defining moment to show us that we're changing as a person. But growth isn't necessarily something you should wait for. I believe that growth is something that you choose. We're taught to look at transformation as something that is tied to events, like plot twists in our lives, right? Or things that create character development. Think about some of your characters on your favorite shows that you watch. If they don't develop, you might get sick of them, you might get tired of them. If they develop, it gets you more intrigued in the story, right? But what if change isn't about what happens to you? What if change is how you respond to it? What if it's not the moment, but the meaning that you make of it? Now, the truth is, most of our growth comes from looking inward. Trouble with my words today. External circumstances might trigger, the process, but the change itself, it happens within. You don't need a crisis to evolve, and you need a choice, a commitment to become more aligned with who you truly are. And the beautiful thing is that you can make that choice anytime. There's no timeline for self-evolution. Growth doesn't have to be by a clock or a timeline. It doesn't care about yesterday or tomorrow. It's something that happens right now, in the moment, with intention. Everything should happen with intention in your life, especially when you're making changes. We often think our identity is shaped by external validation, when really it's built on internal understanding. How we perceive the world and how we choose to engage with it. With that shift from waiting to choosing is where the power lies in our lives. Now, of course, I'm not saying it's easy to make change. Change rarely is. It's actually quite uncomfortable. And as someone who's been trying to change over the last year and a half, I've had many uncomfortable moments. But in order to change, it requires discipline. It requires that you accept responsibility for your own transformation and the process that becomes less about control and more about liberation. You start appreciating life's challenges a little bit more. Not because they're easy, but because they lead you inward. They lead you to guide you back to your core of who you are. And something that I see a lot of us doing, myself included, is searching for ourselves as people. We're trying to find our way back to who we were or once were, or we're trying to create a new future for ourselves and redefine what we thought was going to be our lives. However, maybe you're already there. Maybe you've always been. There's no old you to return to or a new you to chase. There's just you right now, in this moment, in this day. Once that clicks, everything changes. You stop worrying about the past or worrying about the future and start being the version of yourself you were meant to live as of right now. I think a lot about who I want to be and how I want to live my life. It always comes back to one thing, and that's embodying the values that I believe in as a person. And that's going to differ from person to person. You might have different values than me and vice versa. Now, I don't just think about them. I do my best to live them. I share them, I express them with consistency to other people who want to listen. And it takes work. It takes unlearning the beliefs that we've been handed to since childhood. The ones we didn't choose, but we still carry forward into our adult lives. That's why I recommend thinking about some of the things that you have learned and how to maybe change some of those perceptions you have of yourself. Work on new affirmations, work on new truths, because our mind is a sponge, and what we allow in shapes who we become. So if you're allowing a lot of negativity in your life, you're going to be negative. You're going to be looking for the bad thing to happen. But if you start allowing more positivity and being grateful, then you're going to be more happy with the things that are present right now. So be careful what you consume. Be careful with the stories you're telling yourself. In different moments, you can choose differently. Choose intentionally. Choose love, choose growth, choose kindness, choose yourself. You don't need permission from the world or anyone around you to be yourself, or someone to say, go ahead, be authentic. Be it anyway. Be who you are. You know, you are your own guide in this journey and your own motivator. You can't wait on other people to motivate you to do the things you want to do to get this change and be better in life. Yeah, it gets hard. And sometimes there's some darkness. But even in those dark moments, you can be your own sunshine. Find the light. I always kind of say that there's a solution to every problem. The solution may not be what you think or what you'd hoped, but there's still a solution. What I want you to think about is that you can be the spark that reminds yourself that you're worthy, you're enough, and you're evolving, and you're getting better. Because here's the truth. Growth doesn't come from others. It comes from how you feel about where you are and where you're going. A year ago, I wasn't happy where I was. But now, I'm happy with the life that I'm leading and where I'm going to be. And that's a big part of this growth. And accepting myself for who I am and accepting yourself for who you are. At any moment, you're actually never stuck. You are always becoming, always unfolding, you're always moving, you're always changing. There is really no final destination when you think about it. There's no ultimate version of who you are. There's just you, and you're going to evolve every year. I'm not the same person I was when I was 25. Gosh, no, and I'm kind of thankful for that. But let today be the day. If you're watching this right now, this is your sign. Choose to be better, not for approval, not for applause, but for yourself, because that's what self-love is. You know, it's not just a feeling, it's a way of moving through the world and a way of showing up for yourself, because showing up for yourself is the most important thing around, because not everybody's going to show up for you. You need to show up for yourself. And when I say showing up for yourself, I mean even in your lowest moments. It's easy to show up for ourselves when things are going well. It's hard to show up for ourselves when things are not going our way, and they're tough, and they're challenging, and they're bringing us down. Show up for yourself. Know that you can get through whatever you're going through. If you're watching this, take a look at a few of my other videos. You can see that I'm someone who's trying to grow and move forward in my life, because the reality of it is, I hope one day I'm on this channel showing the wins, the big wins, not just the little wins. I've got a lot of little wins, and I always try to share them as best I can. You know, finding peace within myself was a little win. Finding time, creating time for myself was a win. Loving myself for who I am. I don't think that's a little win, but there were steps to get there to help me love myself for who I am as a person. At the end of the day, your potential is boundless, and it's only limited by the things you choose to believe as a person. So tell yourself, you know, a new story about yourself. You know, one where you are the light. Make yourself the main character. One where you choose growth, one where you choose, you know, steps forward, and one where you stop chasing who you were and start becoming who you are. Because who you are right now, no matter where you're at, is awesome. You might not think it, but who you are right now is who you are meant to be in this moment. It's not who you're meant to be forever. It's who you're meant to be in this moment. And you could have a choice to grow. You have a choice to stagnate and just be average. And none of us wakes up and says, you know what, I want to be like everybody else. I want to be an average human being. I don't want to grow. I don't want to change. We all desire change. We all desire progress. You know, keeping you, keeping great, keeping bright. Now, if you made it this far, hopefully this has brought a little bit of value to you. And comment down below, like, subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. I enjoy reading the comments, and I enjoy people who are sharing their stories with me. Anyways, I do wish you all the best, and cheers. I'll see you on the next one.